Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Welcome to the show.
Hey.
We'd also like to welcome back host of Virgin Radio Toronto's morning show, Darren and Deepa. Deepa Prashad is back. Did you do the morning show today?
I did do the morning show. I was up at 3:30, finished the show at 10 a.m., but I stuck around for my lady.
Yes.
If you fall asleep during the show, I will wake you up.
I totally understand. Okay, let's kick this off because it is sad but true. Hudson's Bay could start liquidating all of its stores across Canada starting today. Yeah, putting more than 9,000 jobs at risk. The company says that a buyer could still step up and save some of the stores, but is this the end of Canada's oldest company, or is there any way that we think it can make a comeback?
I'm so glad you guys were eyeing. I'm so sad about this. I love the Bay. I did a lot of shopping at the Bay, and I know they're waiting right now in the courts. They're waiting for a Hail Mary. We don't know what's going to happen, but I also feel like the Bay did this to themselves, like a lot of other department stores where, you know, they have 32 locations in Ontario alone and 80 across the country. And at a time where everybody went to department stores to shop, that was fine. But as soon as we pivoted to online, they needed to downsize and beef up their online sales, and they didn't do that. And now they're in this situation that we're all looking at going, there's no way, who else is gonna save you? No one's gonna save you. It's gonna leave these gaping holes in all of these malls across the country. I'm super sad about it, but at the same time, I'm like, when I do order things online at the Bay, it will take 3 to 7 business days, whereas if I order something on Amazon, it's at my door within 24 hours. And they needed to be paying more attention to that. So now we're in this situation where I got my fingers crossed. Hopefully they will just downsize and we have a great location down the street here in Toronto. Hopefully they'll keep that building because it's a historic building. But again, these companies, too many of these Eatons, remember Eatons, Simpsons, all of these stores do it to themselves. Too many locations, you need to downsize.
So here we are. What do you think, Deepa?
And I think in terms of them surviving, maybe digital is the play, but in that sense, they haven't spent enough time developing that. But for me, in terms of like brick and mortar stores, I hope that it's not the end of this. Like Forever 21, for example, one of my favorite stores. And to me, I need those stores to save my financial situation and my marriage because I have an online shopping problem. It's just so easy. When you go online, you put everything you want in your cart. You don't even think about it. It doesn't have to fit. You miss the return date. So for my personal sanity, I would love for all of these places
to
go
digital. That cart is a dangerous place.
It's pretty bad. I'm in debt.
I hear you. What do you think, Cyn?
I mean, listen, I feel like we've seen the steady decline of places like the Bay for quite a while. And part of the reason was that there's too many locations, but part of it I feel like is the complicated history that the Bay in particular has. I'm sure a lot of you remember that even pre-pandemic, there was lots of people talking online about the complicated history they had with the Indigenous population in our country. Having said that, it's an interesting time for this right now because we've had this push to Canada first. Now, they had products that were from all around the world, but I wonder if there is a chance here to tap into our sense of kind of national pride that they could capitalize on if they do it correctly. It's got to be deft. I also think for these big department stores, they tap into my nostalgia. But like, when was the last time you walked in and shopped at a Bay? Right?
Last week.
Okay, you did. Okay, so great. But I will say, and I have been there, and I love going there. But at the same time, I find that there's something that's shifted me as a shopper. I find it a bit overwhelming at times.
Really?
There's too many options. And I wonder if, to keep with the times, how about this? How would you feel if you walked into a department store and it was curated, but then there were also options for, like, let's say, a place you could drop off your kids, or a place where you could actually go and get a massage. Like, I wonder if department stores need to tap into the urge that we have, which is experiential, and we don't have a lot of time. Whereas before, it was like moms would go there and they'd get something for the home and something for their house and their dress and all that. Now we've shifted as consumers, and I think that these department stores need to keep up with the times.
Yeah, I think it's about the experience of shopping, but I also think that it's an identity crisis. I love the idea of leading into Canadiana, even though Hudson's Bay is owned by an American private investment firm. Having said that, yes,
I didn't know that.
It's actually American owned. And having said that, which is problematic.
Well, it just throws everything I just said out the window.
But they can pivot. You know, you bring up the complicated history with Indigenous people. I think that, now this is drastic, because do I think it's over? No, but they have to do something so drastic that I don't know that anybody at a private investment firm in America based in New York City has the guts for. And I think you can do a couple of things. To me, department store screams no identity because there's too much stuff. And what you've seen is brick and mortar stores are thriving. I went to and lined up for the opening of the Skims first Miami location in Florida. This was last year or whatever, right? And you can go, but I know what the identity is of that brand. It's the brand. It's you are connected with Kim Kardashian, what she stands for better or for worse. I don't know that if you want to lean into identity, what is the Bay? What is Hudson's Bay?
And if you want meandering from floor to floor.
No, I don't know. Here's what
collecting points.
When you asked earlier,
good times.
It is, but I think our shopping habits have changed. To your point, our habits have changed.
Yeah.
What do I think of immediately? If someone says brand recognition, what do you think of? I think of the striped blankets. I think of all of the iconic. They need to lean into what they know and do best. So I would say pivot, but do it with a twist. You're going to pivot. You're going to focus in and go, you know what? Maybe this is part of reconciliation with Indigenous communities. Maybe we create our own smaller, much smaller, specifically Hudson's Bay store. We sell all of our own things with all of our branding, and we also collaborate with Indigenous creators and designers.
Yeah.
And that is how you start to mend your history. I would buy that stuff.
But you bring up a good point that also they have failed at. Their marketing has not been very strong, and that's another big
They
problem.
need to call us.
Yeah, but we are expensive.
Okay, next.
We are expensive.
We hope you will enjoy this Instagram video of a group of women celebrating their bachelorette dressed as abuelas in Puerto Rico. So, Deepa, is this something? What do you think of this idea?
It's actually so cute. It's so fun. And to me, I think it takes away from that idea that like bachelorettes have to be scandalous all the time, because that's like the first thing that comes to your mind. But for me, it looks like a nice low-key bachelorette. I will be honest, I have been excommunicated from my friend group because of the amount of times I said no to bachelorette parties.
Ooh.
Because they're too expensive. Like, I don't know if they traveled for this.
Yeah.
But every person that I know, they want to go away for a week to an international country, and I'm like, no, I'm not spending my money, I'm so sorry, on your bachelorette where I have to go pay for myself, accommodations, pay for you and everything. Like,
and still go to your wedding and put money in an envelope.
And still give you a present, pay for your bridal shower. I'm like, I don't know if I'm a
but
bad
what if
friend.
it was themed with like that kind of dress code?
Local.
Are you in?
Local,
Yes.
International, there's no way.
Okay.
As long as we have a budget locally, I think I'm all good.
You okay? You're in. Okay. As long as it's
Theme
in the city.
bachelorettes?
I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer on this one. It feels like forced fun. Whenever I see these things, there's a sadness that comes over me, almost like a depression when I get that invite. And it's like, there's the theme, and I'm like, here we go.
But they were talking.
It feels like I'm like an adult summer camp, and I don't like it. I feel like the girlfriends that I have, all we need is each other. We could be in jail. Just give us a little bit of food, some music on someone's phone, and we'll have the best time. I don't need the dressing up. I just want to wear my own. I always just want to wear my own clothes, arrive when I want to arrive, leave when I want to leave. And the theme thing, I love it for them. It looks like a lot of fun, but I'm not into it. It's just not me.
I feel like you're into this idea.
Obviously. I love a theme.
I believe you would love a theme, but do you love the abuela thing? Do you want to dress up like an old
lady?
An old lady?
Okay, listen, first of all, abuela, means grandmother in Spanish, for people who don't know. What I love is that sort of circumvents the idea of the bachelorette, because normally you think bachelorette, and I'm like, girl, I'm in a bikini top and a mini skirt all day, all night. And P.S., I love that too. What I love is that this is very subversive, and I think that that's really fun and neat also. That's not my theme. That's not my theme. But my girlfriends and I were very, very different. We love a theme because for us, it's how we move through the world to say to people, this is our crew. We're a crew. And a theme means like you can still be individual, but you can like, it's like a dress-up party, which is why you guys know I love Halloween. So for example, my girlfriends and I, we went to Montana and we were like, okay, we are gonna so lean into this country Western thing.
Gosh.
I thought she
And
meant
so
restaurant.
obviously, bring it on. And we knew we were gonna be doing, so we went riding in the mountains. So you can still be you. Everyone dressed their own way for cowboy, cowgirl.
Yeah.
But that's my point. We went to a rodeo. So I love a theme because to me it felt like cohesive. It kind of felt like saying, this is my squad. We love each other. We support each other. And that is what the people wanted. So I'll do whatever the bride wants in this case.
Yeah.
You want me to dress up like a granny? I got you.
Come on, Loyst. Come on, Loyst.
Listen, I just will say that what I appreciate about this was that it was unique and they obviously tapped into there's probably an inside joke here and represented the bride, great. But I'm just saying, like, can we allow for space to like not have to go into like the merch category and the like, I'm with the bride, or this is the last time you'll have.
I won't do that.
Or like, I was gonna say something that's obscene. You can Google all kinds of obscene things, and I feel like it's just playing
Don't
into
be cheesy.
Don't be cheesy.
Yeah.
Don't be cheesy.
Don't be cheesy. Okay, keep it classy, everybody. Keep it classy.
Do you know your partner's salary? Well, a Fidelity survey found that more than a third of couples couldn't correctly identify their spouse's salary within $25,000 of their actual pay. So is it important information to have? Deepa, you're freshly married, right?
Yeah. I've been married for 3 years
How
now.
much did your husband make?
Oh,
I'm just kidding, you know.
That was the first question I asked him before I married him. I was
Nice.
like, how much money do you make? But in all honesty, before we got married, we're like, hey, in terms of finances, this is very important, especially for our generation. It is so hard to save money. The only way that we're able to save money is by knowing how much we each make together. So I could tell you, I know paycheck to paycheck how much he makes. And the only reason we know that is because every week we actually get together and we have an Excel spreadsheet of literally every single expense.
I love that.
Yeah, so we sit there together, mainly him on his own sometimes, and then he'll put in every single thing on our credit card so we know.
That's amazing.
This is
I
what
want to
we're
marry your
spending.
husband.
Oh,
That's amazing.
Oh my God, it's only because of him that we actually are able to
great.
save money, but it's so important so that you both have an understanding because financial health in a relationship is so important, right?
Yeah.
So I think for us at this young age, we're like, how much are we spending? Let's take the time together and discuss
So
it.
was this
Let's
his
not make it
idea? Like,
awkward.
did he sit down? Like, was this before you guys even plan on marriage? This is
Yep.
the way I work. This is what I need to know.
Exactly. Yeah. So before marriage, he's like, hey, like I'm very much like an Excel spreadsheet guy. Are you okay if we sit there together?
Oh my gosh.
You input your shopping expenses so you don't feel bad as you type it in, but I will relook at it later and we'll discuss based on that. So to
And
me,
is
it's super
everything
important.
combined, or do you still have your own separate accounts?
Everything is combined.
Okay.
The reason for that too is especially we do everything together mainly, and to have these single accounts, most of our money goes straight towards our bills anyway, so we split the bills regardless. So everything for us is joint.
So it sounds
that.
very
I love that so
organized
much.
and amazing and,
And
aspirational and mature.
Thank you.
And like, yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like mine, by comparison, is just anarchy, like just complete and utter chaos. And yet it's not. I mean, we started out when we were in our early 20s. We weren't making any money, and so we just kind of kept separate accounts. And then when we bought a house, we kind of put one joint account together. I don't really know what he makes. He works in freelance though. He's film, and so it's different every year to year. I know generally, and the thing is that like I don't need to know. It works. Somehow it works, but it's chaos. And I don't know how
Do you think it could be
worked.
working better if you knew?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't want to spend my free time with the Excel sheet. And no offense, I think it's if he wanted to do that, but he's not an Excel. I didn't pick an Excel sheet kind of guy.
Yeah.
So what about you?
You know, I guess it comes down to the question of like, what are your long-term goals? Like, I mean, it sounds like you clearly both have the same vision for affording life today,
Exactly.
but also the life you want to have,
And
right?
affording kids as well, because even
Yes.
for people our age now, that's a big question that we're asking ourselves. So we've aligned in those goals.
Right.
And I think that's key, which I'm going to say something shocking. I've said it on the show before, but if you get married in the Catholic Church, you have to do the marriage prep courses in advance. It's a
really?
prerequisite. You have to go through the archdiocese and they do marriage prep classes. Otherwise, they will not marry you in a Catholic church. So guess what? I know. Progressive and Catholic Church don't usually go in the same sentence. But they actually make you, in part of your marriage prep courses, do a budget together. Wow. So they actually make you sit down and you cannot leave until you've laid out a household budget. And you ask questions like, who pays for what? What about for kids? What about for... And you actually have to sit there and ask questions that I think a lot of people don't ask before you get married.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I'm like, how do you not ask that question?
Listen, as a single income household, this survey blows my mind because I'm like, how are you merging with another person without knowing what you're doing? At the end of the day, I know it doesn't sound romantic, but marriage is a business.
Yes, it is.
We're gonna buy things together. We have to afford to like take care of children, as to your point. And what's interesting, do you guys watch The Housewives?
Yes.
Any of the Real Housewives? I watch all the cities. And you know, those women are always getting divorced. And it's always mind-blowing to me that these women, who are all, majority of them over the age of 35 and been married, have no idea when they get divorced how much money their husbands make or the assets that they own. And it's like the whole table's just like, you have no idea. It's like, yeah, I don't pay the bills. I haven't paid a bill in so long. And
Don't you think that's dangerous?
I
That's a
can't
good thing.
believe it. But I did learn something because of watching them and all of the disasters of their divorces and those women kind of just really getting screwed. A term I'd never heard before. Tell me, you guys, have you ever heard this? Forensic. Oh gosh, where is it? Oh my gosh, forensic accounting.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys,
Yes.
I've never heard of that term. And I feel like if you don't know what your partner is bringing in, you're gonna learn that term the hard way with a divorce lawyer going, okay, well, what does he have? We gotta go and look for all of his assets. Is he hiding stuff? So to me, I'm like, the transparency needs to be in the money, for sure. More than anything else, yeah.
And also, what's the life you want to build together? It's so expensive
How
to
are we supposed to
live
move forward
today.
with plans if I don't know what we're dealing with?
Retirement.
Also,
like, you
your
know?
debt becomes my debt
Exactly.
the minute
Yes,
we
of
get
course.
married. I need to
Exactly.
know how much debt you're in, darling.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true.
Point.
Ladies, get on it. Men, get on it. Hey, why don't we stick with money? Since like, who cares?
fine.
It's fine. We're gonna stick with money though, because a student posted on Reddit to ask if he's a jerk for refusing to split the bill at dinner evenly with a friend who ordered $85, the $85 lobster. What did he have? The $20 crab cake. Okay, so how do you split the bill when everyone's ordering really, really differently?
Yeah. Well, in this situation, the lobster guy is the jerk. Like, he was a total jerk.
Lobster man
I
is a
mean,
jerk.
for sure. Because not only that, the guy mentioned it beforehand. He's like, if you order the lobster, like, we're ordering the crab cakes, like, let's not do this. But I think the key is, like, let's have the conversation beforehand, right? Like,
Yeah.
we need to talk about this. And also, just, look, why can't we just do, is separate bills totally unacceptable?
I
would do
feel like
that.
that's normal, is it not?
Yeah.
Like, to me, this is absurd. When I read this story, I got mad, and when I get mad, my Guyanese comes out. I would
Okay,
tell this
let's
guy,
hear it.
you must be mad if you think I'm gonna spend my hard-earned money on you. Because there's no way that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
An $85 lobster, if you want to do it on your own, that's fine. But if there's a conversation beforehand of like, hey, you know, I'm going through a rough time. I want to treat myself a little bit. Do you think you can help me? That's different.
But you can't touch the lobster
No.
once it's on the table.
No.
Right? You can, if you're not the lobster orderer, you cannot touch
can't
it.
even sniff in the direction of that
That's,
lobster.
that's
Right?
an interesting twist.
You cannot take a piece of that lobster,
No.
or else you're
Then
paying
you're
for
paying
it.
for it.
Exactly. Yeah, then it's
100%.
communal.
That's right.
The only way that I've experienced this is when I stopped drinking alcohol and still going out with friends who drink alcohol. If they're in
point.
for a really expensive bottle and I'm
Yeah.
over here with my sparkling water, then that's a tougher conversation because
But is it an
alcohol.
expectation?
I mean, it hasn't been. I mean,
Yeah.
but I can. You know, my friends now know I don't drink, and so we sort of figured it out. But I can see. But I will also pay if it's a non-alcoholic drink. I will still pay for a beautifully made artisanal drink and split the bill. If my drink is about the same as your glass of wine, I'm cool with that. But don't buy that bottle of champagne and then I'm sitting there like this with my own.
No.
Yeah, I also think you got to question your friendship if you're afraid to just say things that, like, how they are. It's like, if we're at dinner and I'm like, girl, you know you had the lobster. I just had a crab cake.
Yeah.
That's right.
So here's my $30.
Yeah.
Just be
That's
honest
right,
with your
just be
friends. I don't
honest.
understand.
Yeah. This is what the theme today is: communication.
Yes.
Yes.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.